things that I would say about the format of the site is, I think that trying to conform to some pre-established guidelines is useful. And so it was pretty fun to try to get exactly 1,000 words for the submission. And so, I wrote a longer version, and then I wrote sections of the work, and then kind of trimmed them down and thought about like sort of what would make one cohesive idea. And it was a really great opportunity, as I've said, because at the time I had just finished my doctorate. And so I had spent like 5 years sort of emptying my tank on peer-reviewed research and making tables and living in a world where it wasn't ever explicitly stated, but it was always implied that, if it's not written in a peer-reviewed journal in a very particular format, it's not as valid. And so this was a breath of fresh air. And I was just thinking, one thing that's interesting is this was not planned, but like I'm still interested in those ideas now. So you can't see this, but I'm holding up a book cover of my current reading, which is This Isn't Happening, Radiohead's Kid A and the Beginnings of the 21st Century, which is, I'm still playing with those ideas. But yeah, that was really it. And then the other thing I was going to say is I've only made one other submission on the site, but in both cases, they were like somewhat stream of consciousness. And the other submission that I did was like right at when personally to me, like the realities of a shelter in place from the COVID pandemic were really hitting. And I sat down and basically busted out like 1,000 words pretty quickly one afternoon. And it really did feel like a breath of fresh air and a way to sort of collect my mind into a container, which was very helpful at the time. So again, thanks, Dave. And I think that's it for me.
Thanks, Colin. So this is what that looks like on as a submission is made. The submission goes in various places, but this is how it looks. And even it took me a while to figure out if the picture should come first or if the picture should come second. And Colin was a big part of that, and a couple other people. But my initial impulse was to have the words first, and then I kind of backed off. I guess I had a writer's chip on my shoulder that the words were somehow more important. But at the end of the day, I thought it was important to have it both ways. That the reader should be able to look at a picture and like we all do, we have an initial reaction to that picture, and then the person who took the picture, who's writing the story, gets the chance to give context around it, to give. I mean, I wouldn't think of Radiohead or Philip Glass when I looked at that picture, but it's really cool to see the initial experiencer's experience with it. So it has the initial reaction for the reader at the beginning, and it has the picture at the end to see how it might have changed. There's information about the submission that is at the bottom here. Gives the title, where the image was taken. All these terms, if there's a link beneath it, they're all searchable. We're just going to start with this one. The contributor again is Gaze13. So if we click on that takes us to Colin's page. And these are you can create an account here and decide if you want to be a fan, a contributor, and or a project administrator, which we'll get to. So this is the first one. These are in order of the newest one first. So the first one he wrote is Learning Space, and that links back to that submission. It also goes over here. This is again the main navigation bar. This is the main page for submissions, as well as, in addition to going to his page, Colin's page, it'll show up here. So I wrote the first two, and Colin wrote the first one in real time here. That's listed here, Learning Space. These are again in order of the newest one is the first one you're going to see. So this is just hot off the presses yesterday from Tanya, a part of my road trip. My last stay in the U.S. was in Fallbrook, California, with Tanya. So yeah, it's listed on that page. It's also depending upon, sometimes uh, these submissions are inspired by writing cues, which I came up with. And this is a teaching technique. If I say, come up with a picture in 1,000 words, it might be hard. But if I tell you, hey, like the best example is right around, Thanksgiving, we're going to do a writing cue, for this week or this month or whatever is gratitude. And you can, a writer can, that'll help focus on what pictures, what you think of. If I've told you to think of gratitude or family or something like that, there's probably a couple pictures that are going to be in your head automatically. And I would argue that those pictures need stories, and those stories need to be told and shared. And it's good for it just knocks off so many boxes. It's good for you to process and think about this stuff. It's good for other people to read and be empowered and be courageous and hear other people, be honest and share experiences or just get different perspectives on a picture you never would have put that story to. But also it's good for stories for people in your life, for records of who you were and what you saw, and stories that you have to tell about people that are gone or places that you went to. I mean, these are great stuff for family to keep. So yeah, these are writing cues. Again, from time to time, I've come up with a calendar to be able to put things in there. This is, I'll say this, that this, I was living in New York on 9/11, and because of this format that I created, I've been able to tell a little chapter of being in 9/11, one little 1,000 words at a time over the last 2 years, and it has made it more manageable for me to be able to do that. So on that note, if I go into this submission, again, picture in 1,000 words, starts with a picture, and I tell my story, and we'll see if it ends up with the same picture. There's also a way for individuals to create mini collections unto themselves. So I was, that second year in a row, I was able to write on 9/11. So this is all a writing cue, but it's also a collection of mine that is listed on my page. So on my user page, collection by Montana Devo, I do have a collection, and I can group any sort of, it amounts to mini books that you can create. If a person wants to talk about, the summer or something like that, and they can, a writer can group, a number of submissions together and make a collection unto themselves. So on a contributor's page, they can have collections and just individual submissions, and the collection will say what submissions are included in the collection. Yeah. So with that, I'll give you a break from my yammering, and I'm going to ask my friend Rhonda to share.
There we go. Now I'm unmuted.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Dave, this is, as you're talking, as I listen to Colin's story, as the whole thing is just sinking in as to how miraculous this is. This project, this opportunity, this format and venue for people to tell stories. Because I think that's what we need to be doing, is telling our stories, and not only telling our stories, but finding our authentic voices. And so thank you for the opportunity to do that. I have 2 submissions on this, in this project. I was going to read the safe one, but I decided not to read that one, instead to read the braver one. So here goes. And I don't know if you're going to put up a picture or, there we go. There it is. A man was wandering through the neighborhood, the pony in tow, looking for an opportunity to take a sweet photo and increase the possibility this sweet photo would translate into additional income. My parents bit. My brother, Felix, has my back on this pony. I was the first girl born into a family with 3 older brothers. The youngest of the 3 brothers was 5 years older than me. Felix was 8 years older. My mother thought she was through having kids until I came along, the first of the second set of 4 kids in the family. Total, when all said and done, of 7 kids. But I was the first girl, after 3 rowdy boys, and they, all 3 of them, especially Felix, were at my back, encouraging me in significant ways I would not appreciate until I was grown. Felix took that firstborn position very seriously. What he said was law. He protected all of us from any negative attention, be it verbal or physical, from outsiders, but he brutalized us on the inside. I was both in awe of him and terrified of him. He would defend me in violent ways. He would also criticize me in violent ways. He was an angry kid getting into trouble in school for bullying, for fighting, for his incessantly disrespectful mouth. He got into trouble at home for the same reasons. The war was between him and our mother. He bashed her with words. She bashed him with her fists and switches cut from a tree, sometimes sending him back 2 and 3 times for a switch with just the right dimension, just the right sound it made as she sent it toward her target. My father exhausted himself trying to keep the peace, trying to put the woman he married first, trying to understand why Felix was so adept at fanning the constant glowing embers of her fire, trying to temper their tempers. He gave up when he signed the papers for Felix to join the Navy at 17, his only way to protect his son while loving his wife, his only way to achieve peace in the turbulent household. Felix married, had 4 children of his own. He abandoned that family and moved to California, where he established a new love relationship, as well as a relationship with her family. While in California, he decided to take a deep dive inside to try to figure out why he was such an angry person, why his psychology was constantly affecting his physiology. His therapist suggested he write a letter saying all the things he wanted to say to our mother. The therapist never suggested he send it to her. In fact, she warned against it, but he did. The letter included information about me, shared in confidence with my brother, about my mother's father. My mother's words to me, through a sister, after she received the letter: "Tell her to never darken my door again." I was disowned, abandoned, for being truthful, for sharing information in confidence with someone I trusted. He apologized, and I forgave him. I was at his back. My father died, then my mother, and it was revealed by her sister that Felix was not my father's son. He was a product of my mother's first marriage to a man who ended up in prison for robbery and assault. This was new information, revealing much about our mother. She carried so much shame and anger and secrecy, a burden she could have shared with all of us, who would have rejoiced at the opportunity to see her as a human instead of the mother on the pedestal she always needed to be. My father married my mother when Felix was an infant, adopted Felix, and never treated him any differently than he treated his flesh and blood children. Because I was familiar with the pain of abandonment, I made a commitment to love my brother no matter what. He was family. We had each other's backs. He had every opportunity, many times throughout the years, to be other than he was, a person humbled and sorry for mistreatment of people he loved and humanity in general. And I thought he was in the process of becoming that person. I saw glimpses of that person. However, I realized quickly those precious glimpses of a contrite brother were fleeting. He treated waitstaff, store clerks, others in the service industry with impatience, disregard, disrespect, disdain. He had no filter with regard to profanity or context around children. And when called out about that, his response was that he didn't give a shit. He brutalized and made fun of the closest of his relatives, appearing to regard only those who he was with at the time with any modicum of respect, and that was made false by future conversations. I discovered through conversations with a family member he had beaten his children and his wife because that's how he was treated. He chose to continue the cycle of his abuse. Still, I loved him because I was privy to the origin of all of this. I knew why he was broken. What I didn't know at the time, and what I now know, is that in spite of all of that, I had the right to protect myself from the power and influence of a bully. I had the right to be at my own back. I could love him from a distance while not having him in my life. He passed recently, peacefully, 6 months after a terminal cancer diagnosis. He's on to his next adventure, whatever that adventure might be. I have conversations with him now that I was never able to have with him while he was alive. Instead of disagreeing, defending, arguing, I'm certain he is listening because now he really truly is at my back. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dave, thank you for encouraging me. You know, I know we texted back and forth, which one should I read? And the words that you, the inspiration that you gave me to, well, anyway, you know, I think everybody has the right to tell their story, but not only their story, their authentic story. And to not be afraid and to just be brave and bold in what you have to say. This picture is precious to me because I have felt throughout certain times in my life with this brother that he really truly did have my back. And, you know, the weird thing is he was one person in my life who always encouraged me to write. You know, I would write letters and he would say, you really have a wonderful way of putting thoughts on paper. You should write. And he sent me a journal one time. You should write. And so, you know, that wasn't quite enough to be the impetus for thinking about writing. But this project was just what I needed. So.
Well, and good on you. I sent an email out to the contributors and said, I gave Rhonda an out. You know, if anyone, because I knew it was heavy. That's heavy. That's really honest and courageous. And I was like, if anyone wants to write something, you know, you got a week left, so let me know which one you're gonna read. And she did write another one. So. You know, good on her for that. And then she chose to read the hard one, which is doubly cool. So it's a win-win and really cool. And it's just neat. And you know, I think Colin's been down this road, and we talked about this. You know, as I have dialogues, it's pretty, you know, pretty cool. I you know, the idea of a podcast of some sort of these interviews, and the only problem I have with it is that there's no image. So I got to figure out, and you know, maybe these maybe it's a interview thing plus, you know, readings plus these little dialogues once a month or something like that. It'd be pretty cool. But thank you. So again, this is at my back. I dare say you would not associate those words with that picture, were you not, Rhonda? So that's where it begins, and the picture looks a little different by the time you're done. And the other, you know, as far as this information, you can let's click on some of these other ones here. Let's click on the image location. I haven't tested this one for a while, but it's good. All right, so these will show you all the images that are from Billings. Whoops. This will show all the images from Billings. You can filter some of this stuff by the contributor, by the date. If you want to see, okay, that's cool, but what about Montana? Let's see. I don't want to just see Billings, but let's check on Montana. It's the same. Okay, let's look at United States. That'll be a little different. Couple more pictures here. So yeah, just you can click on any one of these items that is outlined in blue, and there's groupings. The big one that's pretty cool is that each story asks for tags, submission tags, and tags. The vernacular, it means themes. You know, what are the themes of this tag? So in this case, there's just one, and it was abandoned. So I can go to this, click on the tag, and it'll show me on that page all the stories that have that tag on it. If I want to, I can add this tag to my favorites, and we'll go over that in a second, what that means. And we'll just do it right now. How about? So up here in the bar, along with the main programs, about forums, there's a favorites thing. So now I have added the tag abandoned to my favorite tags, and I go up there and I can look at my tags, and it's going to show me anything with the tag abandoned in there because it's one of my favorites. I've also added the tag Dad Love, which is another one by Rhonda. This is the recent one. Another tag is Death. So there's 2 submissions that have that tag in there. Another one is Faith. There's 2 submissions there. Another one is Family. There's 3 submissions there, and so on and so forth. So yeah, another kind of cool way to group information and to save information. You can have your favorite submissions. You can have your favorite users. These are my favorite users. So once they're plugged in there, anything they write is gonna show up. If the next time I check back in and there's something new from O'Granell, and it'll show the newest one towards the top and give a little information on it. So these are my current favorite users here, and it shows. Like I said, once they're in there, anytime they write something new, it will show up there for me. So I can do favorite submissions, users, tags, got that. So this all shows up, hint, because not many people are doing the whole favorites thing, but this all shows up on my page. So if I like this Gase 13, I like the way he writes and the things he says and just his whole thing. So I'm going to go to his page. I'm going to go to his page. Let's check out the Gase 13. I'm just gonna light you up. Gase page. What are his favorites? Oh, there are none. Shame on you. No, he got a favorite submission because he likes our buddy Joe's submission, and I don't know if Joe's here, but anyway, we can fill these out with your favorite contributors and tags, so it becomes this kind of photojournalistic Facebook without all the bullshit and data mining and sick stuff. It's just a kind of creative, affirming. I want to see who you follow, who you like, and it's a healthy Facebook if those 2 words can exist together. More things in the main navigation bar. I have to give a shout out to my friend Andrea. I knew her, the artist formerly known as Andrea McFarland. We studied theater together at the University of Montana, and now she's a teacher in Oklahoma. After I graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Acting, I did get another degree in education, and I did my public school teaching in Chicago public schools, and then was a kind of a private teacher in both San Jose, Costa Rica, and New York City, and then later in Barcelona, Spain. So this really has a heavy influence of education, and I think it's pretty clear by this point. And I'd like to get some younger writers in here, because that's the big thing, as far as my performance background, that it's really important that we get to shine. And I mentored a self-written theater project for 10 years, which was kind of a combination of this, where I mentored kids through the brainstorming and the writing of, whether it be individual monologues or scenes with 2 or more people, or even scenes without words, performance pieces. guided them through the writing of that. And then they would direct each other. And then once they kind of directed each other, cast each other and put themselves on stage, then it was kind of a play that they had written. And then they gave it over to me, and I just tormented them as a director and held them accountable to their words. But at the end of the day, they got to shine really brightly, you know, for a couple weekends and kind of they got to shine within a world that they created and their words and interacting with each other. And I think this carries a bit of that spirit here, especially the sharing of these submissions. You know, I think the presentation at the end of the course, and whether it's a, you know, Project 1000, you know, I always envision the first, you know, bringing this into schools here would happen in Seattle or something like that. And I would show up to a school. Okay, we're going to have a Project 1000 is going to come in every Monday at 3:15. And basically it's going to amount to a writing club. And at the end of, you know, 4 or 6 weeks or whatever, we will have a reading session or a presentation in the auditorium or in the library or something like that. And the kids get to get up there and read their stories. And they've written them, they've critiqued each other, they've done the, you know, grammar. And I think the big one is just taking the boogeyman out of writing, or the dreaded sitting at a school desk and writing as a punishment type thing. I think this is a really cool way to take the piss out of that, and to be able to kind of write for the fun of it, and to be together with people that do that. But the presentation is a big thing. And there's sections here on programs for, you know, I suggest middle school, high school, alternative school, university, adult and company, and just a group of adults can get together and have a writing accountability group. So those groups would look something like this. They would, these are the current groups online, and I'll start here because it's the most logical one. This is kind of backwards of how I created it. I started with classes first, but anyway, this is a school group. And within this school group, and it's not necessary to have this, but this is the structure from the top down. So if there's a school, you know, the administrator could be shown here, and then any associated projects would be shown underneath there. So this sample school, this group called Sample School has an associated project. Projects are the babies, and groups, can't come up with a better word for it yet. Groups are like the parent groups, and the child groups are projects. So in this sense, in this project, this is my buddy Dave Goodridge. I don't know how he'd feel about his picture being used here, but whatever, those are my photography days. So I think those images are mine. What's up? These are the people that are in this project. In this sense, it's group member 1, 2, 3, and 4, just for illustrative purposes. The contributors can hide their geographical information. There's a great a through line of security on here, so you can provide as much or as little geographical information as you want, and group administrators can share as much of that information as they want. So even if the person has everything, if the group administrator decides, I want my group to be private, I want my children to be ultra safe or whatever, you can do that. But anyway, this is who's in the group, and these are what submissions they have. And then it just flows, you know, from there. You know, you can go to the group members page. My buddy Sam Brown, who was in a couple of those self-written play projects, this is his page. This is his submission, and the group, all the stuff is collected on their page. In this example, this is the group page for sample class. All right, last reader, but not least reader, Shannon.
All right. I'm just going to jump in.
Jump, jump, jump.
My dear wife and soulmate began planning several weeks ago for this trip we're on. To be a bit more honest, I told her I was taking 5 weeks off from work because I needed a break. Planning ensued. We're currently in the final week, making our way back up the Pacific coast. I told her this morning that I feel younger and lighter than when we left. It's true. In addition to our cosmic canine companion, we've had another traveler along with us. At least I have. My friend Mike died in January. He was diagnosed with cancer in early November and started chemotherapy within a couple of weeks. That treatment made him gravely ill. He was hospitalized in late December and never went home. He and I had our last meaningful conversation on December 30th. The ICU was relatively quiet that night, aside from the nearly constant nurses in and out of the room, changing, removing things. That's the nature of ICUs. Amidst the beeping and buzzing and obvious signs Mike was very sick, we talked. He said he was done. He didn't want to fight or treat the cancer any longer. I asked him if he had anything weighing on his mind that he felt was unsettled or needed resolving. No, he said. Remind me if you believe in heaven, I asked. Do you believe you'll see loved ones after you die? Are you looking forward to seeing your mom and dad again? Yeah, he said. I'll get to see my mom and dad again. Yeah. His voice sounded childlike in its innocence, like a kid excited and relieved to be going home from a sleepaway camp. I told him that I would make sure that folks in our community knew of his illness. He seemed especially interested that I let folks know when the memorial was scheduled. I also reminded him then and several times in subsequent visits about our upcoming trip, and that I'd be out of town for several weeks, from late July through most of February. At that time, though, he was very sick. I didn't know if he would die in the night or live for several more weeks. The life force is a funny thing. No one can predict who lives or when someone dies. I know that you've helped a lot of people, I told him, along the way. I hope so, he said. I went home that night and began collecting thoughts, ideas, and memories that I planned to include in my comments at Mike's memorial. I added to and edited that document several times over the coming days. I got a text that Mike had died overnight on the morning of January 14th. I captured a few more details in the document, then I let it sit for a few days. Arrangements had not been made yet, and I was leaving in just a few days to begin my journey. First to Maui for a week, and then a 3+ week road trip to the Southwest U.S. I mentioned this several times to the people making the memorial arrangements. I knew I wasn't the most important factor in planning the event, but I was hopeful they would schedule the service for a time after I returned. That was not meant to be. In fact, they forgot to tell me once the date was set, so most of the folks already knew the details when I learned about them at the Maui airport and began my efforts to spread the news. All this time I was contemplating what I could learn by these events unfolding the way they were. As far as I know, outside of Mike's family, and I'm not sure how consistently he kept in touch with them, I'm pretty sure for the last several years at least, I was closer to him than anyone else on the planet. He called me nearly every day for the last 10 years of his life, and to be honest, that was not the easiest job for me. In fact, Mike challenged me in ways that I hadn't expected. I grew spiritually, and I became a better, more patient, and more tolerant person because of him. Through Mike, I learned about standing by someone in the face of powerful criticism. I learned about giving someone the benefit of the doubt in spite of public opinion. I learned that I can't change everyone's opinion, but I can form my own and act from there. Another dear friend read my written statement at Mike's memorial. Apparently, it was well received. I wrote about my failure to understand the timing of events and the belief that someday maybe it will make more sense. About relying more on my higher power, about missing my friends and my community during this time. I wrote about memorable aspects of Mike's personality that I thought would resonate with people, some that would bring a chuckle, and some that might inspire a few tears. I chose this picture to accompany my story because it's a giant sequoia from the Redwood National Forest, one of my favorite places and one we visited on our trip. Sequoias can live for 2,000 years or more. The trees in this forest have never been cut down. I imagine all they have been through as they held their ground, as the planet has changed around them. In sequoia terms, it's only been a couple of generations since dinosaurs walked the planet. An ice age came and went. Finally, I chose this picture because, like my experience with Mike's passing, I can't see the top of this tree from this vantage point. I'm not sure I ever will, but I know it's there. I know this tree did just fine before I got here and will likely live long beyond my time here. And so my hope remains that I continue to seek understanding and try and be helpful to those around me.
Thank you, Shannon. Do you have any comments on the process and the effects of writing that?
Yeah. So for a bit of background, photography, I learned analog photography when I was a kid, preteen, teenage, and as a younger kid, I craved time with people. In fact, I didn't really feel like I had an identity without being around other people. And that time learning photography and spending hours and hours and hours in a dark room by myself was the first time that I learned to spend time by myself. So it was an amazing kind of expansion of my my experience as a human being. And I've always aspired to write, and so this I love this website as an opportunity to bring those things together. So I'm very grateful to you, Dave, for doing that work. I'm also grateful because you were the dear friend who read my writing at Mike's memorial, and so the world continues to amaze me. And I loved something that you said to me in the aftermath of all that, in saying that because, and I'm paraphrasing, you could probably say it better because you said it, that having this opportunity to read and contribute at Mike's memorial, it gave you the opportunity to see Mike in a different way, and also being a part of it and hearing what other people had to say. So I was really moved by that, and it has been incorporated into this, my perception of that time and how things unfold, which I find fascinating and don't have any control over it. And those are helpful reminders as life goes on. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Shannon. Last but not least, I just wanted we're running up against it here, but one of the most recent pages I came up with, one of the great blessings of this program and making this site, I should say, is that it has given me, creativity has always been the anchor and the place I come back to. There's a saying, gotta forget who said it now. That's bad. But he said that writing is the lever that I hold on to in order not to yield to the centrifugal forces that are trying to force me off of the world. Something pretty close to that. And creativity's been that, for me for a long time. And it's shown itself in different ways, whether it be, acting or directing or writing. And now it's taken on this creative expression of this website. But anyway, it has especially been difficult for the past number of years. And I was, and it seems like it's been picking up momentum here in the past 6-8 months or so. And as far as education goes and teachers go, that was a no-brainer for me. The whole thing was built, or envisioned originally in 2002 with educational tour and education in mind. But the idea of social justice has really come up here in the past 6 or 8 months for me, and it's always been there. I was thankfully raised with a mother who considered such things really important. And thank you, Mom. But it would seem to kill even more birds with one stone, as far as, especially, the ideal setting for this would be young students participating in this and creating for causes of social justice. Student gets to create, they get to process stuff, they get to create, they get to be heard, all the other stuff, but they also get to process, especially, wrongs to them, their people, their truths, and they get to be surrounded by allies, and allies get to fight and speak up, and the tagline for the webpage is fighting the fight through words and pictures. And it's a creative way to be able to do these things that remove some of these people from harm's way. And it may, honestly be life-saving, that they spend their time writing for the cause, putting pictures, doing these things, instead of doing other things and putting themselves in harm's way. Which brings me up to a final point. One of my original thoughts with Project 1000 is to kind of talk about things in the past, but especially in terms of social justice, these could easily be assignments. It's not just talking about what pictures are in the frame or in an album or stuff like that. It is also like, and whether it be a writing cue that I say, that I put on the website, or a teacher or whoever, let's write about stuff in real time. Let's write about, people. Let's write about George Floyd or election tampering, or whatever it is. We can talk about these things in real time, and they can go out and take the picture, and that day come and write about things that are happening right now. So it's yes.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of a little bit on fire here. But what I wanted to say was, the picture, one picture is worth 1,000 words. We seem to be, in my opinion, a nation locked into binary thinking, where there's an either or. I think if young people were encouraged to tell what they see through their own eyes and their own life experience, this is revolutionary. This will crack that, get us out of that ditch that we're in with regard to binary thinking. So I think that this is an amazing beginning to the potential for a revolution, and kids' voices need to be heard. And if they can be encouraged to do that, I think it'll have remarkable results. It could save our world.
Well, and I agree, and I always thought, before the COVID hit, that it would be great, whether it be in this. After this, I got some things in the flight pattern here, but my next thing is like the traveling theater self-written thing. But I always thought, that the best place to implement something like this would be, and I'm partial to the Chicago Public Schools, mm-hmm. and whether it's me coming into Go Grizz, I saw that sweatshirt, Andrea. What's up? But to go into to the Chicago Public Schools and lead, after school classes or something like that, like a writing group, and I'm looking for, part of that evaluation. I just posted something in there that's an evaluation of this and of the website, and also a place for referrals, because and I just haven't been able to, again, I need help trying to figure out grants and stuff like that to be able to send, whether it's us physically in to these districts or whatever, or start dialogues. But right now, again, this is pretty good damn timing, as far as virtual stuff. I don't need to go to Chicago, as long as I can get to these people and have them, I sent out 200 emails, and I, bombed forms on the NAACP and all these, the local chapters and Black Lives Matter and all this, and nothing. So I get it, but I need to know I need to figure out who knows people. I know this person, not only educators, but as far as social justice, and get in there and figure out, how to start. How to start. Who texted me, "Go Cats"?
I don't want to interrupt you, Dave. Hey, Tamara here. Rhonda, thank you. I've been chomping at the bit to I'm feeling really impassioned. I'm not an educator, but I'm an artist, and I think people's personal experience is what's going to connect our world again, and the platform that Dave has given to have people's voices come in, wherever they're at. I know a lot of educators. I know it's small scale. In my city of Memphis. Hi. I have a lot of educator friends that I feel like they would be on fire for this. So I'm sorry that I was like, I'm not really sure what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Amy Doe reminded me, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's happening. And I'm here, and I was late. But I've been moved by the stories I've heard tonight. And I think anyone would be moved. I don't think it's I think it's a platform for people's voices to be heard, whatever they have to say, whether you agree or not. But the stories tonight, I feel like were very, the tissue connected us, and I'm just super excited. And now that I understand, thank you, Dave, what your project is about, I feel like I can go out and scream from the mountaintops to my people that I know and spread the word, because I know they would be just as excited as I am. So thank you.
Thanks, Tam. And I didn't even put it together. Right, 5, of course. Tam's yet another classmate from the University of Montana. So go Grizz. I don't need any more text, Mom. Don't send me "Go Cats." By the way, it's after 6. So I only scheduled this till 6 on purpose. So don't feel bad if you need to scoot out. I get it. But if anybody wants to hang around and talk a little more and brainstorm, do that. Otherwise, please copy that. If you can't click where you are in the chat to that evaluation form, please copy that down before you go and fill it out. It's really helpful. It'll only take you a couple minutes, I think. And there's a place in there for referrals, and you can always, there's a contact form at the bottom of every page on the website. So if something comes up, or you think of something, or how about this or this person, I'll take whatever you got. I mean, that's the numbers are a little smaller than I'd like here, but I would rather have a quality rather than quantity, and a small army will do just fine. And that's how it's going to start. And I'm fine with it. And someone, Tamara's experience here tonight, because she, it's just cool to be able to turn people onto this that has mostly been in my head and with a couple supporters so far. But anyway, any other questions? Thank you for showing up. If you're going to bail, just go ahead and bail. Otherwise, if anybody has any questions or further discussions, Andrea, what are you doing? You got to say something. Are you okay?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good, buddy.
I'm very excited to be here. I too jumped in late. I'm sorry. I was taking dinner to a friend that just had some surgery. I will be honest with you. I've been on this site for a couple of years, and I am slow to the game to get it going. I took this concept just to kind of springboard it among a few students for an extra credit project to see what they would do with it just in class. It was at the end of, it was just before COVID. And then I really wanted to use it during COVID, and that kind of fell to the wayside because school did not happen in the fashion that much learning was happening. I think kids were kind of let off the hook here in Oklahoma. So I didn't really get to use it. So I'm back on board with what we're doing now. Again, virtual platforms are, if there's anything positive about this time, it's the virtual platforms that have become available and the willingness for artists to commune in this way. Like you said, you don't have to be there. It's like this has existed, but we really haven't tapped into it until now. And it's wonderful. I teach English and drama. I would really like to use this as a springboard for drama projects. We are actually workshopping a play that another Grizz, Chris Evans, wrote. And we met today, and this is one of the pre-production activities that we're going to do. We're going to do 1/1000 with some of the things that have come up during this discussion. A lot of feelings have come up in discussing that play. It's about a school shooting. So very close at home with our kids. So this was actually discussed today at our first rehearsal. We're on fall break. So of course, we spent the day at the theater because we're on fall break. So, so anyway, we are getting ready to jump into it as we speak. And I'm very, very excited to hear other people's takes on it and all the other levels of excitement that are happening with this. I think this is wonderful, Dave. I am so amazed at this. Thank you.
Hey, so how about creating a group on the website? How about you creating a group and collecting?
Well, I did that with the group prior, and the COVID thing fell to the wayside. So I need to redo it. I need to get back on and recreate a classroom group. Yeah. And like I said, it's fall break. This was perfect timing that your meeting happened tonight, because I do have a few days to kind of get into my head how I want to approach this with the cast. So
it's coming back to me now. I remember this dialogue. You're right. Well, just let me know, because it's just so cool to come up with the first this and the first that, the first submission from Colin, and the first, you'd be the first group in real time. So
great.
So pretty cool. Yeah. Julie, are you there? Julie B. She might not be able to know. She might not know how to unmute stuff.
Not to make it about U of M, but yay, Andrea. I'm so glad to see your face. And Julie B, chime in.
All right. Jonna, you got anything? When did you get here? God damn. Okay.
I got here after I got done teaching Zumba about 6:30, right when Rhonda ended. I wanted to cry. Dang it.
Go Bobcats. Go Bobcats.
Go Cats, by the way. Thank you. So I'm like Andrea. I started Project 1/1000 and then COVID hit. And I had a girl that I started it simple because my 7th graders need a lot of help to write. And so I started it simple with pictures that I just showed them, and they wrote what they could. And I had one girl, I showed a picture of a roller coaster, and that girl took it to a whole different level. And she talked about the roller coaster that she is living in her life with losing a sibling. And it didn't get to 1,000 words, but it was an amazing start that I was really excited to build upon. And then she left my class. She went into a different English class. And so I could not expand that with her at all. And I had another girl that took, I don't remember which picture she even took, but she went with it and she took it home and wrote on her own. And she was getting to almost 1,000 words. So I started it, COVID hit. Yep. And life didn't allow it to continue. But I will tell you that right now, every Wednesday, my kids have a Project 1000 assignment that they're going to be adding to each week. So they're not going to be doing it all at once, but it's going to be little by little. So they have all chosen their picture and have gotten their document ready to start writing. And then next week, after this short week, they are going to start writing.
Cool.
So are you planning on, let me ask you guys this. This is kind of what I'm getting at as far as educators. Is this, I know in Montana there's privacy laws as far as students go, but other than that, especially someone from Oklahoma, are there concerns about associating or doing something in the classroom associated with this website that for now it's hard for me to be able to say, are you 18 is the best I can do, you know what I mean? And other than that, you guys know I'm not one for censorship or anything like that. The best I could probably do is like a ratings thing, you know what I mean? To have the writer say, hey, how would you rate this? And then, like I said, the only other way to do it is say, okay, if the user tells me the truth, only show these ratings of submissions, only show this. That's the best I can do. But is it dangerous? Is it too sketchy? Is the open, is it too open range and that schools aren't going to want to like start groups here for fear of parental, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, I think I can speak on that. Our school, believe it or not, is actually pretty liberal with this kind of thing, as long as we get parent permission. So if we present what we want to do to parents and give them all the information about the site so they can check it out, they sign off that their kids are able to interact with it, there's not an issue. And if the kids do not, then if the parents do not want them to do so, then obviously we have to honor that. But I pretty much would have the backing of my district at least to do something like this. Now, as far as, because this is a Zoom format, isn't it? This is Zoom tonight, isn't it? Mm-hmm. This chat is on Zoom.
Yes.
We can't use a Zoom format in our school district. So I could not. I love the idea of possibly you dropping on here and giving some coaching, but I couldn't do that on a Zoom format at this point because of issues with Zoom.
Is that just the word Zoom, or is it all like teleconferencing?
No, we have to use Go Meeting. That's basically safer for high schools. Apparently some things have happened where Zoom meetings have been, hacked, and inappropriate stuff has come across. Yeah. So that would definitely be inhibiting. So even, if we did drop you in, what we would have to do is do it on a different format.
Well, I just have to learn that platform. I mean, the at the center of it is the website. So I don't care about this part of it really. However I can get in and push people there. I wrote that down. Go Meeting.
Yeah.
So Dave, I've been in text contact with your oldest nephew, and he's given me a couple suggestions about writings. And they'll be good.
Okay. Wow, that ended better than I thought it would. hey guys, this is my mom.
Hey.
Julie B, did you hear all that? Where were you? Were you out in the yard? Were you in your hammock?
Hi y'all. I was not. I was putting the hammock in the shed, and I had my hands in the sink. I had a splinter in my finger, and so I heard it all. All accolades to the contributors tonight, and Dave. I'm just so glad that that your mom had an opportunity to create you. And thanks for your friendship along the way. And this is pulsing through you and a ripple effect that will be unstoppable for our community at large. Thank you. for the vulnerability and the intimacy and the compassion that you are sharing with all of us and bringing us all together tonight.
God, I went to school with good people. We
were lucky.
We had
Hi, Tamara.
We had
Hi,
the greatest
Andrea.
collection.
I'm crying. I'm crying. I miss all of you.
We had the greatest collection of like just weirdos and lunatics and oh man. Yeah.
Clever. I would say in a soundbite, clever.
Yeah, clever. Clever as shit.
Ooh,
Hey,
courageous.
Dave,
What?
I think you need to talk about your relationship with Rhonda and how it got started.
Oh, that's probably best on Rhonda. There's no way. Hold on. My buddy Jeff. Are you still here listening to this, you weirdo?
Yeah. What's happening?
Just making sure. Just making sure. You got anything, brother? You haven't said anything.
No, I'm just absorbing it all. I got a lot of ideas, but I'll have to sleep on them and then get it. Then
I was gonna say, man, I've heard you tell some crazy ass stories. Why don't you write some?
Oh well, I've got lots of ideas for things to write, but I also have ideas of people that I need to introduce this platform to. So both of those things need to happen. But tonight I'm in absorbing mode.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Jeff and Colin were my first two friends here.
Cool.
So it's really neat to have them. Thanks, you brother. I'll see you.
Nice to meet you, Dave's mom.
I'll see you in a little bit, eh?
You will.
All right, man. So Rhonda, why don't you tell some stories? We don't want to hold anybody hostage, by the way. So
yeah, but I always have to figure out. Dave and I met when Dave was 17. So how many years have we been friends? That's when it started.
32. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And he was a participant on a cross-country youth trip. And I wasn't quite sure. Every time we'd stop somewhere, spend the night, have a bite to eat, I'd call into his mom, and our relationship was rather new at the time. And she would always ask me, first question out of her mouth was, "How's Dave doing?" And it was kind of like that. It was like, "How's Dave doing?" And it's like, well, he's doing fine. It didn't take me long. I'm driving the van. We've got it filled with kids. He's one of them. And he makes up a card game, and I hear him say, I'll raise you a face card with a JC Penney. And I thought, what the hell is that? And what it was he'd cleaned out my wallet and took all my credit cards and all my photographs and made up a card game. And I thought, oh, well, that's why she's asking, how's Dave? There's all kinds of stories I could tell about that trip alone. In fact, it might be a submission, Dave.
Yes.
Why not?
But I just knew, in spite of our age difference, I'm a hell of a lot older than you. I just knew that somehow, some way we were going to remain connected ever since that time. So I'm grateful for that. It's been a long time.
I will not ask for the same stories out of Julie and Andrea and Tamara. Actually, they could probably tell some ones that would be appropriate, but more that would not.
I'm gonna sign off, but honestly, Dave, I don't have. Yes, there are inappropriate stories, but I honestly feel closer to you post college. Like I feel like I didn't really know you in school.
That's weird.
I'm
just kidding. That's me. That was me.
I feel like I've seen more of your heart post college. Yeah, we have stupid stories in school or whatnot, but I I'm glad to still have a connection to you. And this platform you've created is, I mean, you've created so many things. You are a creator. I remember your quirky cards that you wanted Letterman. You submitted to Letterman, and that was like your avenue to get out there, because you do have a weird sense of humor. I mean, like, come on. What? But no, you are one of those people that are creative in every avenue. Like, it's so impressive to me. Like, I'm still married to the stage. Like, I'm an actor. And now with COVID, there's not room for that. So I'm like, what do I do? But you have always created avenues to express yourself. And I feel like this avenue is not just about you expressing yourself, but giving other people an opportunity to do the same. And I think that is so much more important. I mean, as an actor, you're just selfish. Like, it's like, I'm going to move somebody. But really, at the end of the day, this is something I enjoy. But you're creating a platform that can feed people that don't consider themselves creative. Like, they can tap into something they've never thought of because of educators like Andrea. I'm just using people that are here. I'm giving you an assignment, like the writing plugs, and I've been to conferences where I say conferences, retreats. Yes. Where you're getting a writing prompt, and it opens a world. And for kids, for youth, that have a lot to say, but don't know how to say it. Like, this is fantastic. So thank you, brother. And hi, Mom. Thank you for bringing him into the world as well.
You're welcome.
And I didn't put the video on because it's COVID and I don't wear makeup, and yeah. But I've really enjoyed the evening. I've really enjoyed the evening. Thank you, Rhonda, for sharing. I know we've lost a couple of other sharers, but like, it was really beautiful. I'm inspired. I'm inspired to share this platform, and I'm going to take it away and say it was a good night. I cried a lot, but
Good.
we need that. So love you, Dave.
Love you too.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I totally forgot. I might have buried the lead here. About 2 weeks ago, I thought, whoa, I need swag. And I put in this order, and I spent way too much money, but I picked up the first set.
Oh, wow. Dave.
The first set of
Awesome.
I got 4 different styles. This one is printed directly on the black hat with embroidery, and it's really nice. But these are even cooler. These are the expensive ones that have the patch sewn. They're embroidered patches that are sewn on. This is charcoal, and they have olive. So yeah, we got swag.
Can we purchase to support you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't. It costs so much. I'm not going to make much. But as far as, and you'll wear them. You're a hat wearer. But that's the coolest thing. I just imagine people in a coffee shop. If I was daydreaming, I came across, what's the hat say? Project 1000. Beep boop beep boop beep. And that's fine. So as long as I make my money back and don't I got a lot of hats. Anyway, yes, I will put that. There's a donate button on every page on that website, McFarland. And But yeah, I will have a little swag store too. All right. Anything else? We good? That's not bad. We got a lot.
Dave,
What?
Dave, it was great, honey. I'm
Thank you.
proud of you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Oh God.
I love you madly, Dave.
Love you guys too. Thank you. I love
Mwah.
everybody. I love everybody here. I'm glad those other people left. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Hey, Dave.
What?
Dave, is
Mom.
it recorded?
Yes.
Okay. Susie wanted to know.
Okay. Yeah. I recorded it.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Love